are Locked On Cowboys, your daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked on Cowboys. Locked on Cowboys.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. And joining me today, as always, is my co-host, Landon McCool. You can follow him on Twitter at McCoolBCB. You can also listen to him on the Best Coast Boys podcast. Landon, you have not been cut from the show yet. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm so glad you're here to announce it because I've been waiting by the phone. I've been texting my agent constantly if there was news. So far, I have not been cut by the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll see if I actually make the Wednesday 53-man roster, right? Because that's the one that actually matters.
You feel like a practice squad guy to me. It's not bad. It's somebody has to.
Still developing.
Still developing. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to talk about all the latest Cowboys cut downs, and we're just going to, be full transparency here. We're recording this about 1 p.m. Eastern time. The Cowboys officially have to get down at 4 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday. So there may be more cuts that kind of roll out, but for the most part, we kind of know what's going on here, Landon. Let's start with the quarterback, since this is maybe the most surprising. The Cowboys did cut Ben DiNucci. Not surprising. They also cut Garrett Gilbert, who we spent a lot of the offseason talking about him being quarterback too, and he doesn't even make the roster. It looks like they're going with Cooper Rush. Is that surprising to you?
I don't think it should be. I think if we saw what happened in the dress rehearsal game, and then I think it's easy to just ignore what happened on Sunday, right? Because again, for a lot of the reasons that we talked about after the game, it wasn't a very good evaluation of what Cooper Rush can do for this team, because Cooper Rush, when he comes in to be the backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, he won't be coming in with the third team offense. He'll be coming in with the first team offense. So we talked about the idea of the kind of high floor versus high ceiling type situations. And frankly, neither of these guys have a high floor or a high ceiling. It's
just a backup quarterback, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's more just about, do you want somebody who maybe takes some more risks, but will give the ball away because they hold on to it too long? Or do you want somebody who isn't exactly going to push the ball down the field regularly, just taking huge shots, but he probably won't give the ball away. But he also may not be able to make, kind of simple throws that you expect some NFL quarterbacks to make. It really comes down to what kind of style you're trying to get. And then beyond that, obviously, there's the kind of looming outside the building, competition that's going to happen with whatever potential quarterbacks get cut. And I'm sure we'll talk about some of those.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second. But before we even talk about the Cowboys going for Cooper Rush over Garrett Gilbert, I want to stress the most important job for the backup quarterback is not to actually play, right? It's to help the starter get ready for the upcoming week, right? That's the single most important job. And I think a lot of people forget that. Like, Cooper Rush is just going to be better than Garrett Gilbert at helping install the game plan, helping research the upcoming team. Like, he's been doing that job his entire life, and he's good at it. I guess to me, that's why it's not surprising he is going to be quarterback too.
Yeah, I mean, he is a very Jason Garrett type of backup quarterback. Yes. I mean, and I don't mean the coach Jason Garrett. I mean the player Jason Garrett, right? Where he's very cerebral, very smart, is a good asset to have in the room. A quarterback too does not play a lot, and it's not designed to play a lot. So
it's just like a perfect example. Tom Brady is always like Brian Hoyer as his quarterback too in New England. Like when he was there, right? It's not because Hoyer was good, because anytime Hoyer played, he was pretty awful. But it's because Brady trusted him to help with game planning and getting ready for the upcoming week. It sounds like Dak likes Cooper Rush. Mike McCarthy likes Cooper Rush. We know Kellen Moore does. It just makes a lot of sense.
And there's stupid things that we don't consider, like, who got the run game going the best? Like who was actually making the correct reads and getting everybody lined up correctly pre-snap and making the right adjustments. Those are all things too that are a little bit harder for us to see. But I mean, just generally speaking, you would think that Cooper's better than that because he just seems to be more comfortable in the offense, having done it for years and years.
Yes.
And so I think that part of it makes sense as far as what you're actually asking a backup quarterback to do.
Correct.
Cooper Rush's skill set, I think, fits the bill better than what you're thinking about with Gilbert.
All right. So again, the Cowboys did release Ben DiNucci. They released Garrett Gilbert. I'm assuming one of these two will be on the practice squad. I think we both prefer Gilbert, correct?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Do you think he wants to come back on this practice squad?
I think that's a good question. I mean, I don't know what the market's going to be like. I mean,
Nobody's going to put him on their 53-man roster. It's just not happening.
I don't think so either. I think, there's a good chance he may want to come back here. I mean, he's a Texas guy. He played college in Dallas for a while too. So, there's a very high possibility he may want to come back here. And so, I mean, look at the quarterbacks that are on the street right now, so, yeah. I mean, not that they're great, but I mean, certainly he's going to be waiting a little while if he's looking to get onto a roster.
I agree. I do anticipate probably Gilbert coming back, but we shall see. I want to talk about Landon, a quarterback that was released on Tuesday that apparently the Cowboys have some interest in. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about BetOnline. It's that time of year again, and all eyes are now turning to football as teams are back on the gridiron to start the football season. As always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 100% welcome bonus. BetOnline is the fastest and the easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports, from football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait and take advantage of all the great offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. All right, we're going to have a nice conversation here about one of your guys, Landon.
Real quick. Did BetOnline ever take off the odds on Mac Jones being the Week 1 starter for the New England Patriots?
This morning at like 8 o'clock.
This morning.
Because everybody was wondering, why is that not on the board? We found out pretty quickly why, right? The Patriots
guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. They don't build those big casinos because they lose a lot.
Nope.
So the Patriots have released Cam Newton. They're going with Mac Jones. Believe Brian Hoyer is actually going to be the backup there. Surprise, surprise. Cam, according to Jordan Schultz from ESPN and Josina Anderson, the Cowboys will explore the possibility of signing Cam Newton. What are your thoughts on that?
He's got to get the vaccine, man. If he
really
gets the vaccine,
right?
If he gets the shot, and then I'm all in now. Because he got cut. Like I think that's the difference. We talked about this a few days ago, but that was in the context of trading for Cam Newton, right? So which meant giving away assets in order to take on his contract, which a large, not the whole thing, I don't think, but portions.
No, it's not very much. I think it's going to be $1 million for whoever signs him to the next team.
Well, that's what I was going to say is now that he's cut, that the offsets go to New England. So that means we wouldn't have to give up anything. And he would come extremely cheap. $1 million for that level of backup quarterback is extremely cheap. So that all lines up great. Playing style, all those things, that lines up great. I think the question becomes, what do you do with him, from a vaccine standpoint? Because Jerry has been very adamant about wanting 100% vaccination on this team.
Yes. Yep.
So I do think it's a pretty major hurdle. So we'll see if he's interested in doing that. I mean, the other thing to keep in mind is that Cam is by far, and I imagine will be by far, the best quarterback available in this kind of round of cuts, that sort of thing. I have a hard time believing that Denver isn't looking at that and going, is he better than at least one of the two guys we've got, and Washington too, frankly, I mean,
with Ron Rivera there.
Yeah, so I think that there's something to look out for there. But look, I mean, just to kind of put this out there, because we had kind of put out the take to the opposite, the fact that he got cut in this round of cuts, the numbers because of he got cut with the offset language, all of that changes the angles on my desire to have Cam as the backup quarterback. I think that if he can get the shot, it's probably worth it. The only other thing I would point out is that Cam has a very strong personality. I mean, Cam has never been a backup quarterback in the NFL. And the last time he was a backup quarterback in college, he transferred. So I think that,
actually, we talked about it last year. He would rather retire than be a backup, but maybe his thoughts have changed a little bit.
Maybe his thoughts. I mean, his thoughts are going to have changed on that and the vaccine in order for him to be a backup quarterback to Dallas Cowboys.
My general thought here is I don't believe the Cowboys are signing Cam Newton tomorrow, right? Because he doesn't have to clear waivers, but that's not going to happen. My guess is the Cowboys' interest is, hey, Cam, are you getting the vaccine? If you are, we'll put you on our short list in case we need a backup quarterback in the season, right? Like if Dak goes down, come play for us and be our starter for 8 weeks if we need you. If it's, hey, Cam, are you getting the shot? Nope. All right, cool. We're moving on. That's my guess is what's happening here, right?
I agree. I mean, that's
well.
Where I'm
the
at
other
too.
thing is, I mean, it's important to remember. Like, let's say somebody convinced him to get the vaccine, right? He still has to get 2 shots, and it's a month between those 2 shots.
2 weeks after that. Yeah, exactly. So
it's not like he's gonna. Yeah, it's not like you're gonna want him necessarily in your quarterback room right now because it just raises the chances of everybody having to quarantine for 5 days or whatever the protocol is now. So I don't anticipate anything happening with Cam soon. I think it's going to be one of these things where when we get into October and November and a starter goes down, if Dak's not healthy, that's when the Cowboys are interested. But I guess I don't see any way he's their backup quarterback week 1 when they go take on Tampa. It just doesn't seem very likely.
And then let's throw out this strategy as well, right? That maybe the plan here is to have Cooper Rush as the backup quarterback, and if Dak is out for an extended period of time, you call Drew Brees up. You see what Drew's interested in doing. Call Phillip Rivers. See how he's in shape coaching those high school
I'm wondering
kids.
if that's the strategy, right? Let's keep one fewer quarterback on the active roster. We've got Garrett Gilbert to maybe that's the thing, Landon. Like maybe Garrett Gilbert would actually be the guy that plays if Dak goes down, right? Kind of like what we saw last year, right? Maybe Gilbert comes in and plays and Rush continues to function as that QB2 and they just never move him out of that role. I think that's possible as well.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a possibility. I mean, look, we've talked about how the backup quarterback, having a backup quarterback that's worth having is expensive and usually not worth the cost.
It is not worth it. Yeah.
So kind of cobbling together the situation on multiple levels depending on how your quarterback gets injured, I think makes some sense. I mean, there's no reason to go out and get a Drew Brees. And first of all, Drew Brees isn't coming out of retirement to be the backup, right?
No. But I do think that's a possibility. I'm glad that you brought that up because Brees, he certainly didn't say no.
He didn't say no. He certainly did not say no.
I think it just is going to depend on the situation. I just think that's a far better backup plan than trading a 5th-round pick for Nick Foles right now, who you might not ever need. And if you need him, it doesn't really matter anyways, Yeah.
I mean, especially since if you could go and get someone like Rivers or Brees, first of all, that's a way better option than, than Nick Foles.
Yeah.
And then second, you're not having to pay this person until you have to pay this person. So you're not throwing money away
game by game as well.
Exactly. So I think that makes more sense if you can kind of rely on that and then have like a cobbled in place. Okay, we've got quarterbacks to get us through the game. We have quarterbacks to get us through 1 week without Dak if we had to.
I just will say we spend way too much time, and I say we as like Cowboys Twitter talking about backup quarterbacks because 99.9% of the time, if your starter gets hurt, you're in trouble anyways. And it doesn't matter who the backup quarterback is. You could take the backup quarterback for any single team right now in the league, handpick them and put them on the Cowboys team, and it probably doesn't matter. Like they're not making the playoffs with that guy if he has to start more than a handful of games. So I just think we spend too much time on it, Landon.
I don't disagree.
Okay. All right, let's take one more quick break, and then we'll talk about all the guys that the Cowboys have moved on from so far on Tuesday. I want to tell you guys about rockauto.com. It's a family business serving auto parts to their customers online for over 20 years. They have everything from engine control modules and brake parts, motor oil, and even new carpet. Whether it's for your classic or your daily driver, get everything you need in a few easy clicks delivered directly to your door. The rockauto.com catalog is unique and remarkably easy to navigate. Quickly see all the parts available for your vehicle and choose the brand, specifications, and prices that you prefer. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in the How Did You Hear About Us box. They know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com today. Also want to tell you guys about DirecTV. DirecTV Stream brings you live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, which means you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So stop waiting and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That is directtv.com. All right, Landon, let's go through some of the cuts outside of the guys that we've already mentioned. A couple ones that are a little surprising. Rondelle Carter, I think it's somebody that we both thought had a really good preseason game. It feels like he might be a guy that comes back onto the roster once they move some guys to IR, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a guy that I have penciled in there as coming back. It'd be interesting to see if maybe he can make it through onto your practice squad and he becomes one of those two guys that you can pull up, week to week on the practice squad. Otherwise, I would say they should try to bring him back once they IR, Gallimore, one of the other 6 guys that they have lined up to go to IR once
sounds like Josh Ball is another guy that's going to go on IR. Yep. Sounds like maybe Kelvin Joseph for the first 3 weeks because not sure you're going to need him the first couple of weeks anyways with all the depth you have. So that makes sense. I'll go through some other guys. Johnny Dixon, Tyler Coyle, Braylon Jones, Brandon Smith. Oh, that one hurts. Deontay Burton, Brendan Knox, Jaquan Hardy, Eric Smith, Stephen Parker, Isaac Alacorn, I believe is how you say Alacon. I can never.
Alacon.
Danucci, Darian Thompson. We talked about Darian Thompson last week after our Hard Knocks show because he was the one breaking down the Cowboys after the preseason game.
He did it again after the other game the other night, too.
Yeah. Do you think he's another guy that could be coming back?
I got to say, I hate to be like this. I was pleasantly surprised that he was on this list. I mean, that to me, at least, and maybe it's just, it's all a function of, he's a vested veteran. He can have a handshake deal to come back. Darian, I mean, look, we don't like it when he's on the field, but he seems like he's a team first guy. The coaches really love him. Yep. So, I wouldn't be surprised. Again, another guy who I would love to see on the practice squad as he fits kind of all those very specialized practice squad things, right? He's like he could be one of the 4 players that's over, 4 years or 2 years vested as your special practice squad guy. He could be the guy that comes up to your team in the game.
I think he's going to be that guy, like the guy that just comes on and off the roster, right?
If that's the case, man, that's brilliant. That's awesome. No, I think that's better than that. I mean, you for a guy like that to be like your off roster come up guy, like I'm on board with that for sure.
Yep. So we still need some cuts at a couple of positions, but again, we've got 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs. Your guy Nick Ralston, the fullback, seems like he's going to make the team. So pretty light there. We'll see at receiver, right? Because they still have not done anything with Simi Fehoko, Malik Turner.
I've heard rumors that Turner may end up on the IR too. I think they would have to keep him, but yeah. Well, we have to talk. They did that with who was it? Who's the linebacker?
For those people that aren't listening, I finger quotes,
air quotes. Francis Bernard. Yeah,
injury. Jeez.
He had an hamstring injury crop up yesterday, right around the time that cut discussions were happening, which is wow, what are the odds? And so maybe something like that happens with him too.
The Cowboys are going to have a full starting defense on injured reserve this year. That can't.
I don't know about starting defense, but they're going to have a full defense. Sure.
Yeah, so we're still waiting on some guys. We'll see about like Jeremy Sprinkle. Does he make the active roster? Seems like the offensive line is pretty much set unless they can trade your guy, Brandon Knight. Again, it doesn't feel like a cut down that's going to be all that dramatic for the Cowboys. Unless something just completely blows our mind. Seems pretty easy for them considering they've got a couple guys that can move to IR, and I'm not all that worried about it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily believe everything yet. I mean, not believe it, but like believe that everything is final yet with some of these guys, especially like Darian Thompson and Rondelle Carter.
And again, I should also point out, like, CeeDee Lamb hasn't come off the COVID list yet.
Yeah.
An extra
So they're
roster spot
technically
you can
not on
have.
the roster.
So like, if you're worried about somebody claiming Simi Fehoko for whatever reason, I know some people were worried about the 49ers claiming him. You just keep CD Lamb on it for a day, and it really limits the option because everybody else is going to be down to 53, and they're going to be making claims for tomorrow. It's kind of a way to protect Simi from getting claimed, right?
It's a lot safer, and that's ultimately what they try to do with a lot of these guys is they try to pass them through waivers early or late, right?
Yes.
Like early, so hopefully maybe no one will notice. We'll just cut this guy and he gets through, and or late, like after
everybody sees these guys anyways. You know what I mean?
I know, but it's like, yeah. I mean, especially now, it's like it doesn't make sense now. Now
I know what you. They think if they wait a day, they have some kind of advantage, and maybe they do. Maybe we're
that one. I think actually works because at that point you've gone through all of this. You've probably claimed a lot of these guys that you want, and so you have fewer spots like on Thursday of this week than you did on Wednesday, right? So I can make that one makes a little bit of sense because at least you're kind of reducing the number of available targets that he could fall to, but it's still, might be fruitless. If he's going to get claimed, he's going to get claimed, and there's not much they can do about it. But again, most of the time these guys don't get claimed. When you think that they are, most of the times we sweat these guys making it through waivers, but they usually do. It's usually everyone's got their players that they're afraid are going to get claimed by other teams, and they don't.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. It's especially somebody like Simi Fehoko, who really did not do anything during training camp of the preseason that makes you feel like he's going to be a loss if he goes somewhere else. It's not a big deal. Just really quickly, is there anybody that's been released so far that you think would be an interesting claim for the Cowboys? I'll give you one. I think Isaiah Johnson is a cornerback that the Raiders took in 2019. He's a 6'4" corner. If the Cowboys just want to corner the market, do you like that pun?
Hey,
on these 6'4" corners, he's not a bad one to stash in your practice squad. He's been a little banged up, but when he plays, he's pretty good. And you might have a roster spot open with Kelvin Joseph going on IR. Anybody else?
Speaking of those guys, did you see that Donovan Olumba also got cut?
Yeah, another long corner. There you go.
He's available as well. There were a couple of defensive tackles that I thought were interesting. I think the Patriots released it. Yeah. And then the Patriots released was it Montravius Adams, who I haven't caught up with, and Bill Murray. Yeah, this is the best name of anybody. It's still funny when Michael Jordan and Bill Murray got cut in the same day. It's like
Michael Jackson. So you got
Michael Jackson. Oh, it was Michael Jackson. It was Michael Jackson.
Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, and Bill Murray all got cut today.
They all got cut. It was like Space Jam redone. Yeah, I think I've seen a couple different defensive tackles who are interesting. There was someone else besides Adams that I saw that was interesting, but it's happening very fast right now. So it's kind of hard to see anybody that's going to make a huge impact. Really, again, I've seen a couple running backs, right? That's really where we should be shopping is the third running back, third tight end situation. So I think that there's going to be a lot of decent running backs available for the Cowboys to pick one of these guys up. So I would be on the lookout for that because I've already seen a couple come off that have been pretty decent.
I agree. You can find running backs wherever. It's almost like somebody has a website devoted to that.
How's the traffic on that site? Anyways, really I haven't seen anybody specifically like yet that has really. I mean, Cam is really the big one, right? Just because it was so unexpected. But everyone else is kind of,
it doesn't move the needle
people
much.
that are available.
There's a couple of them. They're like, oh, that's interesting, but that's about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, lots of former Cowboys, right? Lots of former that guy used to be on this team. I remember he was kicked around here for a while.
All right, that is it for today's show. We'll be back later tonight to talk about Hard Knocks, give our thoughts on that. And if there's any big takeaways or big moves that the Cowboys make, I'm sure we'll address it on there. Again, don't expect a noteworthy cut down for the Cowboys. But you can follow the show at Locked On Cowboys. You can follow Landon at McCool BCB. I'm at Marcus_Mosher. We'll see you guys next time. Enjoy Hard Knocks. We'll be back on Wednesday.